I'm Mitch Glazer, and Isaiah 53 changed my life. I was brought up in a traditional Jewish home in New York City. Even though we kept all of the holidays and so on, I still was not even sure in my own heart whether or not I believed there was a God. After my bar mitzvah, I was going to school and then eventually to college, and still, even though I knew I was Jewish and loved being Jewish, I just never really was sure that there was a God, or even if I could have a relationship with that God. And so the years went by, and I eventually went out from New York City to California, and there I was working in the Redwood Forest, taking care of kids through the Marin County Board of Education. Great life. I was only 19 years old, happy-go-lucky, enjoying myself. And then my two best Jewish friends became followers of Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Messiah, and I got very upset. So I tried to talk them out of it. And they told me that I should read it for myself. And so I decided to do that because I was raised in a more traditional home. I knew a little bit of Hebrew, and I began reading the Tanakh. And then I came upon Isaiah chapter 53. And it sounded so much like Jesus. And yet every bone in my body said it couldn't be. So I went and visited a rabbi's kind of a study. In those days, it was Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach had these disciples, and he was a singing Hasidic rabbi who danced and had a lot of joy and was very vibrant. So I figured that they would have the answer. So I visited them in San Francisco. And after a short while, they basically just looked at me, these young disciples of the rabbi, and said, you shouldn't be looking at these things because it talks about Christianity. And I said, don't you have an explanation for why Isaiah 53 doesn't point to Yeshua, to Jesus? And they said, you shouldn't even be discussing these things. And I walked away very disappointed because I thought that they would easily convince me to believe that Isaiah 53 had nothing to do with the coming of the Messiah. I wasn't raised to believe Messiah would come and suffer and die for our sins. I was raised to believe that the Messiah would be a king who would raise the dead and establish his kingdom on earth. But Isaiah 53 began haunting me. And then finally I read the New Testament and found out that Jesus was the fulfillment of Isaiah 53. That chapter and that decision changed my life. Because when I accepted Jesus as my Mashiach, my Messiah, my sins were forgiven, and I received God's power in a new dramatic way, dynamic way, and he began changing my life. It was the best decision I've ever made.